Some houses are straight up haunted, and when tragedies arise there, the houses can become even more haunted. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. I'm your host Emily, and today we are counting down our list of the top 10 strangest things found in the Amityville house. Number 10. The Tragedies. Ronald Defoe Jr. ended the lives of his father, mother, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters in their home located at 112 Ocean Avenue. Around 3 o'clock in the morning on November 13, 1974, they all died. His siblings died by single shots, while the Defoe parents had each received 2 shots that ended their lives. Physical evidence suggests that Louise Defoe and her daughter Allison were awake at the time of their deaths, which is just sad. According to Suffolk County Police, the victims were all found lying face down in bed. Ronald was taken to the local police station for his own protection after suggesting to police officers at the scene of the crime that the deaths had been carried out by a mob hitman, Louis Finale. However, an interview at the station soon exposed serious inconsistencies in Ronald's version of events. The following day, he confessed to carrying out the deaths himself, and Louis, the alleged hitman, had an alibi proving he was out of state at the time of the crime. When confessing, Ronald told detectives, "Once I started, I just couldn't stop. It went so fast." He admitted that he had taken a bath and redressed, and detailed where he had discarded crucial evidence such as blood-stained clothes and the weapon he used before going to work as usual the next day. Number 9. The Voices. After Ronald Defoe Jr. admitted to the crimes and was arrested, he later claimed that there were voices in his head urging him to end his family's lives, and some believe to this day that he was indeed hearing evil spirits that resided within the house. Though Ronald's grisly crimes were all too real, is it possible that he was actually under the control of evil spirits that inhabited the house? His trial began on October 14, 1975. He and his defense lawyer, William Weber, mounted an affirmative defense of insanity, with Ronald claiming that he ended the lives of his family in self-defense because he heard their voices plotting against him. The insanity plea was supported by the psychiatrist for the defense, Daniel Schwartz. The jury that convicted him, though, didn't buy the insanity defense offered by his lawyer and found him guilty on all 6 counts of death. On December 4, 1975, Judge Thomas Stark sentenced Ronald to 6 sentences of 25 years to life. Number 8. The Occult. It's been said that the house wasn't haunted at all until the Lutz family moved in. Well, that's according to one of the family members. The father, George Lutz, was curious about paranormal activity and actively tried to summon spirits, but had a financial motivation to sell his story to the media due to the family's severe debt. He dabbled in the occult as Charles, one of the sons, recalled seeing his stepfather's bookshelves lined with titles on Satanism and magic, and he even claimed he saw George move a spanner telekinetically in his garage before the family ever moved to Amityville. George's beliefs and practices triggered what was going on in the house, he said. It was like a magic trick gone bad that you couldn't shut off. He blames the evil presence on George and said that he opened a gateway to dark forces he couldn't control. Now this is definitely an interesting take, because if you mess with supernatural stuff and you don't know what you're doing, you're putting yourself at risk for anything. So was the house haunted before the Lutz family moved in, or are they the reason why it's haunted? Seems like something we'll never know, but it's an interesting point to consider. Number 7. The Red Room. In the Amityville house, there was a red room, which just sounds scary. It was a small red painted room around 4 feet by 5 feet that George Lutz discovered behind shelving in the basement. The room was not mentioned in the building plans, and the Lutz's dog Harry refused to go near it, cowering in fear. Now, when a dog is scared of something and gets weird vibes, you better believe it. It was said that the Red Room was a gateway to hell, but previous tenants insisted it was nothing more than a little area underneath a stairwell that the Defoe children sometimes stored their toys or used as storage. Today, though, it no longer exists since a subsequent owner had renovated the basement and constructed over it, but still very, very strange. Number 6. Flies. For some reason, flies were a big thing in the Amityville house. Daniel Lutz said he started feeling uneasy about the Amityville house within 2 hours of moving in. Taking a box upstairs to their playroom, he found it swarming with flies. He swatted 100, but after getting his mother, he discovered the flies had all gone away. "That's when my confusion started," he said. Another time, the family claims hundreds of flies appeared in the sewing room despite it being the dead of winter. Now, there may be some sort of explanation for this. The spiritual meaning of the fly in the Eastern world is mainly connected to death and evil. The Mesopotamian god of death, war, and plague, Nergal, was depicted in the form of a fly. Because he ruled the netherworld, Christians associated Nergal with a demonic presence. Throughout the Eastern world, flies are often seen as harbingers of death, bearers of pestilence, and companions of evil. It's even said if you see a single fly and smell sulfur, that the fly is actually a demon. Now, this makes complete sense in regard to what happened in that house. Number 5. Get Out. With strange things happening around the house, just to play it safe, George Lutz called in a priest to bless the place. The priest's name was Father Ralph Percarno, and according to George, the Lutz family was unpacking their stuff from a rental van when Father Percarno went inside the house by himself. The priest went into one of the upstairs bedroom, and that's where things got freaky. As he began sprinkling holy water, he supposedly heard a deep, otherworldly voice that shouted, "Get out." Then he said he felt a slap in the face. Being a sensible man, he decided to follow orders and get out. Listen, when a demon tells you to get out, you listen. Now, before the priest left the house, he told George there was something strange about that particular room. When George said they planned on converting it into a sewing area, the priest replied, "That's good, as long as no one sleeps in there, that's fine." He never told them about the voice though, he kept that to himself. However, the priest didn't escape completely unscathed, as he supposedly received blisters on his hands, plus his car began acting like it was possessed, with the doors and wipers going haywire until the engine died. Number 4. Haunting. So the horrors in this house started right away. As soon as the Lutz family moved into the house, green ooze started seeping from the walls and black stains appeared on their toilets. On one occasion, George heard a marching band in the living room, but when he went to investigate, he found all the furniture shoved to one side of the room. As for Kathy, she reported invisible hands hitting her and scratching her, and when she put a crucifix in the living room, the cross supposedly turned upside down and emitted a sour smell. George allegedly woke up every night around 3 a.m. about the same time as the Defoe deaths. Soon, George had stopped taking care of himself, and he spent a lot of his free time chopping wood, which he used to keep a fire going in the living room in an attempt to ward off chills. The children also started acting strangely, and it's said they began sleeping on their stomachs, which is how the Defoes were discovered by police. As time went on, the disturbances only escalated. Windows shattered, doors were torn from their hinges, and there was a lion. Okay, well, not a real lion, but I had to say it like that for dramatic effect. George claims he tripped over a small lion sculpture in the living room, and when he looked at his foot, found bite marks. Things got creepier still when George took the statue up to the second story, only later to find the lion had somehow made its way back downstairs. And of course, let's not forget Jody, Missy Lutz's imaginary friend, famously depicted in the 1979 movie. According to Missy, Jody was a demonic pig with glowing red eyes, and both George and Kathy reported seeing the spirit swine at different times. George even claimed to have found cloven prints in the snow. And all of that sounds absolutely terrifying. Number 3. Investigation. In May of 1975, 5 months after the Lutz family left the home, Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are demonologists, investigated the home along with a news crew to document the findings. The Lutz family refused to re-enter the home during the investigation though because they were so scared. During the investigation, Ed was physically pushed to the floor while using some religious provocation in the basement, while Lorraine was also overwhelmed by the sense of a demonic presence and was plagued by her psychic impressions of the Defoe family's bodies laid along the floor covered in white sheets and a sense of physically being pushed back. While there, they also discovered that the land was found to be used by John Ketchum. John Ketchum was a practicing black magician and had a cottage on the land prior to the construction of the house in 1924. John requested that his remains be buried on that property, and they remain there till this day, so maybe that's why the property is so haunted. The Shinnecock Indians also at one time had an enclosure on this land that was used to house the sick and the mad, and those in the enclosure were left to die. The Warrens believed the suffering there had left the property with a very negative energy and dark history, and that such a negative history was a magnet for demonic spirits and the supernatural. They also believed these energies directly impacted the lives of both the Defoes and the Lutzes. And I'm gonna be honest, this makes a lot of sense. Number 2. The photo. While investigating, Ed and Lorraine had an infrared time-lapse camera pick up an image of a demonic boy standing at the bottom of the house's staircase. The picture wasn't made public until 3 years later when George Lutz appeared on the Merv Griffith Show in 1979. The photo though is creepy. Believers of the haunting think the picture is the ghost of the youngest Defoe son, John Matthew, who was 9 at the time of the deaths. Others believe it's a staged photo, but despite the controversy, this photo is one of the most frightening images from the Amityville horror. And coming in at number 1 is Levitating. George Lutz recounted how on the last night the family spent in the house, his wife's face temporarily transformed into that of an old crone, and she later levitated off the bed. Kathy has even said she levitated, saw glowing red eyes, and began having nightmares about the crimes that took place in the house. She wasn't the only one who levitated though, as Daniel, who shared a bedroom with his brother Christopher, claimed that night they also shared a levitation experience in their beds. Recalling his final night at the home, Daniel told the New York Post, "My brother and myself shared a levitation experience in our beds. We both woke up and our headboards and footboards were smashing each other and banging off the ceiling. Mom said, 'Go pack a bag, we're going to grandma's, we're getting out of here.'" Yeah, that would have been my last straw too. Well, that's all for our list of the top 10 strangest things found in the Amityville house. Do you think these hauntings were real or made up so some people could make a quick buck? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure to like and subscribe while you're down there. I'm your host Emily, and we'll see you next time. Peace.